Welcome back to my session. Myself, I am Hampika, Engineer of Electronics and Communication Systems. Today I would like to discuss about a research design. As everyone are very interesting about a designs in a different manners based on their tastes, even a research have its own design. Let me introduce what was the research design includes. Research approach and a research design are two terms that are frequently used interchangeably. The research approach and research design, which we use it to frequently use in interchangeable manner. And however, a research design is a broader plan to conduct a study. And a research approach is an important element of a research design which governs it. Here, research approach and research design are generally using frequently with interchangeable manner. Still, research design is just like a huge layout for any conducting of a study. Whereas a research approach is one of the important factor to do research design. That was a very slight difference, but which are really too integrated. And a research design is a framework or a guide used for a planning, implementation, and analysis of a study. As previously discussed, for research process, with a researcher choosing a particular process for a study, whereas a research design is giving a framework or guide used for the planning, execution, implementation, and analysis of a study. And it is a systematic plan of what is to be done and how data will be analyzed. Because to do research, these are the two important questions to be raised for any researcher. What should be target to do research? How we are reaching the target in the research? So, this research design is giving the systematic plan of what is to be done and how it will be done, how the data will be analyzed. For example, generally, for any research oriented learning, we use it to draw a chart like reverse pyramid. If this is one of the type of a design, here any researcher use it to have an idea about output. To reach that output, what are the steps to be covered? What was the problem statement? What are the objectives? What was the type or a method chosen by a researcher? This is a reverse pyramid. Okay, this is one type of a research design, which is a basic research design to do any research. Or few use to go with some certain particular designs based on their stream. And whereas research design is basically provides an outline of how research will be carried out and the methods that will be used. And it includes the description of the research approaches dependent on independent variables, sampling design, and planning format for data collection, analysis, and presentation. Whereas the research design is a master plan specifying the methods and the procedures for collecting and analyzing the needed information in a research study. Whereas a research design can be defined as the blueprint to conduct a research study. A blueprint is a simple word which was known by everyone, which gives an entire layout of any building or any construction, or for sometimes the for a projects even. Whereas this research design can be defined as a blueprint to conduct a research study, which involves the description of research approach, study setting, sampling size, sampling tools, sampling techniques, and method of data collection and analysis to answer a specific research question for a testing research hypothesis. So, here there are few definitions given by great researchers. One is a research design is a plan of how, when, where data are to be collected and analyzed. The research design is the researcher overall plan for answering the research questions or testing the research hypothesis. Here, the research design is a form of a plan which covers all WH words. Because this plan is like always should be the key points covering with a WH words called and where, how, and which manner. And this research design includes an outline of what researcher will do from writing the hypothesis, and its operational implications to the final analysis of a data. So, what are the outlines covered in this research design are more explicitly the design decisions happen to be respect of what is the study about. Why is the study being method? Where will be the study be carried out? And what type of data is required? Where it can be required data to be found? And what periods of time until we will study include? And what will be the sample design? What techniques of data collection will be used? How will be the data be analyzed? In what style will be the report be prepared? Simply, the research design outline is covering what the researcher will do from writing a hypothesis and its operational implications by questioning what type of study and what was the study being made and where it should be implemented and which manner, and to do this study what type of data to be collected, from where it should be collected, and how the collected data to be analyzed, and what style the report to be prepared again based on the requirement. This report is also a proof of a research done by a researcher. For this, what type of sample design need again? And for any study, there is some certain period. For example, on invention of telephone, the usage of telephone has certain period. Then it transforms into cordless. Then later it transformed into mobile, keypad mobile. Now it transformed into smart mobile. And we didn't predict that what future mobiles to be transforming. So that's the thing. What was this study time period should be? So what periods of time will the study include? Because whereas on this time, what really the study useful for the student or a researcher or any person giving that type of study helps, but not really relevant. So these are the few outline of research design included to do the form of research hypothesis writing. And the other one is keeping in the view that above stated design decisions, one may split the overall research design into following parts. What were they? The sampling design, which deals with the method of selecting items to be covered, to be observed for the given study. The observational design, which relates to the conditions under which the observations are to be made. And what are the statistical design, which concerns with the question of how many items are to be observed and how the information and data gathered are to be analyzed. And finally, the operational design, which deals with the techniques by which the procedure specific in the sampling, statistical and observational designs can be carried out. And this research design, a researcher has a series of questions that he needs to find the answers conducting research, any research. Whereas the research method provides a logical sequence to conduct experiment so that all the questions can be assessed in a proper order. An impactful research design makes sure the least base on the data collected and increases the trust in analyzed research information. So a research design which leaves the least margin of errors can be considered the best research design. Because generally for covering a lot of thoughts or questions, if we go with a theoretical manner, it is little tough. There may be chance of a huge errors. If I go with a design pattern, which is really understandable, which is really creative, at the same time, which is really attractive to study. For example, if I give a notes with a differentiation with a theory, with the points, and the other one give that the same differentiation with a table. The table is more comfortable because it is in a form of design, some layout. And generally, what are the research design impact on a research? Let's learn about the important elements of a research designs here. Selection of precise purpose statement of research design. Various techniques to be executed to collect details of a research. Whereas methods opted the analysis of collected data. And what are the types of research methodology opted? What are the possible objections for a research? Because a research always have a other side of the coin with the objections. As a researcher, the vision of a researcher is a little different, but To justify the vision, the objections should be justified on the panel, and settings required for research. Timeline for the research study. Techniques and methods to measure analysis. All these are the few of the important elements for a research design. And what are the four key characteristics of a research design? The first one and foremost one is a neutrality. The result collected in a research should be free from the bias and neutral, because the discuss and get evaluated your conclusion with experienced multiple individuals and consider those who agree with your research results. And the other one is a reliability. Research design should be able to ensure the standard results by indicating how research questions can be formed, because a researcher will always want the same result every time. So he performs an experiment. And the validity. The validity of research design is used to calculate the expected results and to estimate the truthfulness of the results. In most cases, researchers opt of their own definition when it comes to what considered valid. Because therefore, the questionnaire prepared from the research design is considered valid always. Generalization. Generalization is one of the most important key characteristics of any research design, because the results obtained from the research should be applicable to a population and not just to a limited circle. It always should be generalized, not controversial. And what are the features of a good design? Whereas design always have very clear and impactful effect on a understanding. At the same time, for sometimes clumsy and what we say misleads with a design factor itself. So that's the thing. There are a few features of a good design which gives good impact, not in a misleading factors. A good design is often characterized by adjectives like flexible, appropriate, efficient, and economically, and so on. And generally, the design which minimizes the bias and maximizes the reliability of a data collected and analyzed is considered to be a good design. And a design appropriate for a particular research problem usually involves the consideration of the following factors: the means of obtaining information, the availability and skills of researcher and his staff, if any, the objective of no problem to be suited to be studied, the objective of the problem to be studied, the nature of the problem to be studied, and finally the availability of time, money for research work. Here, a research design also appropriately for a particular research problem only. Whereas usually it involves the consideration of the following factors, which again includes the good qualities of a research again: the reliability, the flexibility, measurability, logical, and again always a research have a huge impact with a money and a time. So that's the thing. Always this objective of problem and a nature of problem to be studied. When it is able to be studied, when it is a understandable manner, it is able to be studied. And again, the availability of time and money also impacts research work. So when we go with these factors, by consideration all these factors, a research design should be a impactful and it is good. And here there is a flowchart of the elements of research design. Here, the first and foremost part by any researcher is the approach. And this is a part of types. In which manner? In a qualitative manner, which is measured in a quality, not in a quantity. In a quantitative manner, or both for sometimes. And which is additionally with or without a conceptual framework again. And the other element is method of analysis. The approach is one of the element for a research design which merges with a qualitative, quantitative or both with a or without conceptual framework. Whereas methods of data analysis is the other objective when the collected data to be analyzed. In which method? What type of method? And the other element is population, sample and sampling technique. This is the third element. And the other element is the tools and methods of a collection. Again, the other one is the time and place of data collection. From where, in which manner, and how much time required. It involves the description of plan to investigate the phenomena under study in a structured or unstructured or a combination of two methods. So therefore, the approach helps to decide about the presence or absence as well manipulation control over variables. It also helps to identify the presence of or absence of a comparison between two groups. So the approach of research study depends on several factors, but primarily on the nature of phenomena under study. At this stage of research study, conceptual framework may or may not be incorporated, and which also involves the description of a plan to investigate the phenomena under study. And what are the approaches of research study depends on several factors, but primarily on the nature of phenomena under study. At this stage of research study, conceptual framework may or may not be incorporated. Research design also provides the researcher with directions about population, sample and sampling technique which will be useful for a research study. For example, in ethnographic qualitative research design, a researcher gets the directive that population will be a specific cultural group and study will include a small sample selected through non-probability sampling technique. And time and location. And the sources request data are the other important constitutions essential of ensure effective planning to conduct research study. And what are the tools and methods of data collection? This element of research design involves the description of different tools and methods of data collection, such as, for example, questionnaires, or through interviews, or direct observation, or any other methods that suits the particular approach of a research as well as nature of the phenomena under study. And a research design must also include the description of the data analysis, either quantitative or a qualitative data analysis techniques. That helps the researcher to collect the relevant data which later can be analyzed as per research design plan. Without a formal plan of data analysis, a researcher may collected irrelevant data for sometimes, which can be later become difficult to analyze. And what was the selection of research design? Generally, the choosing of research design is also very important based on their study again. For historians, they use it to select particular design. For academicians, they use it to select other type of design. Whereas for electronics candidate, they use it to select other type of design. So research designs and plans and the procedures for research that span the decision from broad assumptions to detailed methods of data collection and analysis. In order to meet the aims and objectives of study, researcher must select the most appropriate design. And the selection of research design largely dependent on nature of the research problem. Again, the choosing of research problem already we discussed in a previous sections, which even impacts on a selection of design again. So the nature of the research problem, the resources available, accessibility of subjects and research ethics. All these are also very crucial. And what are the factors affecting a selection of research design again? The nature of a research problem. This is the most important factor which always helps to researcher to decide about the selection of research designs. Based on the nature of a research problem itself, the researcher decides whether it should be investigated through an experimental or empirical manner or non-experimental approach. And what was the purpose of study again? The study may be conducted for the purpose of a prediction or a description or exploration or correlation of a research variable. Therefore, the purpose of research study helps the researcher to choose the suitable research design. For example, if my factor of purpose of study is like a descriptive manner, I able to choose the design to describe and to understand for my purpose. Whereas I go with the exploration or a correlation manner, even my design used to gives impact on others who really would like to study the research. Researchers' knowledge and experience. The selection of research design is largely influenced by a researcher knowledge and experience because they avoid using those designs wherein they lack confidence or a relevant knowledge or experience. So, researchers' interest and motivation is other part. Based on the interest and motivation levels help researcher the particular research design again. So, motivated research always analyzes most aspects of research design before selecting one or a combination, while casual and careless researcher may choose research designs that may lead to failure for sometimes. And factors affecting selection of research design. We will discuss later about the factors affecting of research design. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your valuable listening.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.